Yeah, so this is annoying. They changed the Vice City physics. It's funny because when I started the game, uh, I walked away from it and I didn't hear the fucking theme music. So I came back and they were asking me to agree to their terms. And I'm like, wait a minute. I feel like I've agreed to the terms of this game like 400 fucking times over the past 20 years. So I knew something was up. They must have updated it. And then when I loaded the game up, it's showing the date and time on the save files now. So basically, when I first started, I just did a 404 on this race. When I first started doing this race, I was doing about a 404. And it took me about, this was like when I finally, figured it out and I broke 4 minutes. This is when I did this save file. Then I got it down to 354 after like weeks of practice. All right. It took me about a month to go from 404 to 354. So every time I do it, if I don't make a mistake, I'm in the 355, 56 range. 354 was just my best one. I just did a 404 on a pretty much clean run. I made one mistake. So even if I'm giving myself back 5 seconds, I'm still 5 seconds off pace. I'm still just barely catching my progress from a month ago. So I'm thinking, what happened? And it wasn't even when I finished the race that I noticed this. It was as soon as I started driving. Um, it felt like the car was cornering too well. And I wasn't having to use the brakes as much. I was just sort of cruising around the corners, and I was thinking, "Oh wow!" It felt like my muscle memory was just really good. I was like, "Oh shit, I'm just gonna cruise around. Maybe I'll even set a new best time." But I started feeling like I don't know, this shit is handling too well. And I also noticed something else when I loaded my save game. I loaded it at a different time of day, so it was uh, it was loading in like early morning instead of nighttime. So I had to go through a whole process of creating a new save game that saved at the appropriate time. Cut a couple seconds off my ability to do a lap with the song time properly. But anyway, so it felt immediately like either they buffed the handling or they nerfed the speed. And it turns out they just nerfed the speed because I don't need the handling to do a perfect lap. So if they had just buffed the handling, I would have been in the same range, if not better. Uh, as it stands, I finished. I just spent about half an hour doing this race. I finished twice with basically perfect laps, and both were 404s. So they nerfed the speed. At least they nerfed the speed of the cheetah. I'm assuming it's a whole game physics overhaul, though, because there was an update and there was a whole new licensing agreement and all this new bullshit time and date on the save screen. Well, this sucks. I'm glad I spent a month on it and got it unattainable time now. Uh, so there was basically no challenge to this race at this point with the way they capped the speed. So there's a misconception, and the reason I'm this is worth talking about is like there's a serious misconception in Forza about a car's handling ability. Um, but what a lot of people attribute to a car's handling ability is really just it being slow or slower, and cars are just easier to handle when they're driving slower. Um, Like, yeah, okay, like the car handles great, but you're still like 4.5 seconds off pace. So, um, like saying a car handles well is not really worth anything unless it's also fast. So what you're trying to constantly do is make it as fast as possible while still keep it under control. Uh, I didn't have to back off the speed once with this current physics configuration in this game here, which is fucking annoying. It's not like real driving anymore. They literally just like capped it so that you can just complete it a little more easily. So every time you hit an object, that's another thing. Every time I banged off a lamppost, I didn't lose control. So they completely fucked this up. It was way more true to the original, and way closer to like actual decent driving sim. And I can't even come within 10 seconds. Let's call it 8 seconds of my previous best lap from like a fucking week ago. 8 seconds. And that's what it felt like. It felt like I was driving through fucking water. I even changed my controller. So I have the core controller, the Pro Core, whatever the fuck it's called, and it's got the adjustable height triggers. And I was like, you know what? Maybe like this adjustable height trigger is doing something. Nope. 404, regardless of the control settings, regardless of the graphic settings, everything. So I don't know. I'm glad I played the game while I could, because this is no longer fun if I can't even fucking compete with my best lap.